What's going on, guys? It's Goose from the Wise Wealth Discord, coming back at you with another Sunday watch list. Wanted to go over some of my ideas and stocks that I'm looking at. We have obviously had a huge propel up since the April lows. You love to see that people are still confident and there's still investors looking to flood into U.S. stocks. I know for a little while when tariffs and stuff like that started to be implemented, a lot of fear and stuff like that occurs. And on this channel in the Wise Wealth Discord, we always like to explain our long-term views and why those are some of the best buying opportunities. As you can see, we're up close towards all-time highs again within a few percent. And that's exactly why you want to do that. You got to take the opportunity that's in front of you and never really be super caught up in the headlines that are happening. And that was very well probably a generational buying dip. It could very well be. I'm not saying that we may never revisit this again, but at the same time, if you were able to capture those biggest fearful moments, probably made a considerable amount of money at this point. So I just wanted to go over what we had going on this week. We had Wednesday core CPI, and we have Thursday PPI, unemployment claims, Friday consumer sentiment. Those are the red folders. Pretty tame week. CPI hasn't moved the market too crazy amount of much, but if anything's too out of whack, like too high, too low, then there obviously would be a bigger reaction. But I feel like inflation isn't like on the forefront of everything, so we'll see. But SPY, I got the daily pulled up here. I'll pull up the weekly. My biggest point of concern is just this ultimate trend line. That's kind of what we're riding up against. The weekly still obviously looks very strong. We're not in overbought territories yet, so that's kind of a it's kind of like a bullish thing where it's like on the weekly we're still not even there, so it could stretch even further and further technically according to the RSI. But you go on the 4 hour and stuff, there's definitely a divergence going on with SPY and QQQ, where it's just showing a lower high since then, this big thrust up. But it's creating kind of like a rising wedge. It what's There's nothing bearish about a rising wedge unless it breaks below. So it's like we get that push above, it's going to be a very bullish move because we're getting in this recent trend that we've had for like since 2023. It's like that's a huge trend. We always talk about the bigger the trend, the bigger the break. So it's coming up here. It's like that's where that pivotal moment is coming. Sorry, pivotal pivotal moment is coming above like 605. If we start to get below and fill these gaps, yes, we could see a double dip correction potentially. I'm not saying that's going to happen, everyone sell, but that could be a good opportunity to dip by and get in on some of the missed, opportunity we've seen from this big push up. But this trend line, I think, could wreak some problems on both indexes. QQQ, I guess it's not as clean. You could always try and biasly like push it down, but it's somewhere up there. So QQQ could still thrust to all-time highs and still hit the ultimate downtrend. SPY's kind of riding up against it. So that's what I'm watching out for. IWM did have that break above. It looks very, very constructive. You could see a clear resistance there that it broke above. So it could gap and go and get this 200, but there's also a gap below too if it wanted to retest that 210 area just to see if we could find some buyers. But that's a good risk on sentiment. As you know, like Jimmy's been posting a lot of like the smaller cap names that have been doing good, like ARM is doing good, IonQ, Oklo, like just risk on names in general that like are high growth stock, high beta, they move, percents at a time, are doing well. Then you have Nvidia is doing pretty good. I mean, since earnings, it's just kind of in this rising wedge type of pattern, but overall, it's still a strong bullish breakout. It finally broke out of its recent trend, so Tesla, it's unfortunate, man. There's a lot of political things coming on. I like the stock, I do, but it's just getting smoked right now, and it doesn't look good when you have that lower high. Is when it starts those lower highs, that's when those big downtrends do start. You do want it to hold somewhere within this area. You could see clearly that this is like a big point of like confluence with just a lot of liquidity here, a lot of support, a lot of volume. So as it comes into this level that it held recently, 270, Just be careful of that because if it does lose that, there's a lot of open air down here where it could slide to 200, slash it in half. Apple's been one of the weaker names. It's still kind of heading towards its like ultimate trend line at the 185. Just doesn't have much going for it. I know I'm on the daily, so you're not seeing much about what happened this week, but just chop, just sloppy chop, 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 chop. If it does start to get above, those levels right above, that could be a bullish move. But Apple, one of the weaker names. Tesla, obviously a weaker name, but you have Microsoft, you have Nvidia. They're all hitting all-time highs, and it's like that's when you look at the cues and like, what's going to happen here? Is it going to blow off top? Is it going to deny? That I don't know. I can't predict that, but I will trade whatever the next move is, most likely. That just doesn't look, it's just a slow grind up, but all it takes is one bullish catalyst to go do another leg up. This is since earnings. It's just there's no sellers in sight. So when you see that kind of stuff happen, you know, that's a very bullish sign. Meta looks very, very good. It has bull flag retested. Look at the technical analysis, man, and then it goes. We had that call out last week. I made a decent amount of money on calls. Beautiful. AMD, nice setup. It's a weak name, but it's a nice setup. Technically speaking, it looks decent. So let's see if this flag does end up playing out. Get above the 120 area. We're looking good. We're cooking good looking. Amazon curling up just looks beautiful. You have that huge downtrend break right here. Come back, retest, grab that liquidity. Pushed up. Now we're ramping up again. We're going for that next leg higher. We'll see. Get above the 216 area. You're right within blue skies. But I like it. Most of the names do look good. Netflix is the one that I looks really weak. I wouldn't say really weak. It looks kind of like Microsoft. Its earnings, it's been the strongest name, but I see a bigger divergence on Netflix more than some of the other names that are trying to play catch up. And I could see it potentially dropping. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but like my path, um, it's path. Sorry, but I could see the divergence playing out and like trying to do something like this and like breaking down like a topping pattern. But I don't know. That's just the RSI telling me that there's a divergence. It doesn't mean it has to, but it could potentially slow down. But it's setting up where it's like it's either going for a huge explosion higher. Maybe the tax bill is the catalyst. We've been talking about that. There's definitely still some bullish catalysts behind the talks with China. Maybe they start to simmer back down. I know they had heightened fears of that. So you make a deal with China, you have a good tax bill that passes where it's basically a form of liquidity to us, then yeah, you might see some of these names start to explode. Coinbase, Bitcoin's been very, very strong. This is probably a top like individual company that deals with Coinbase or with Bitcoin, I mean. So as we move forward, we'll see how that flag plays out. But everything looks pretty good. Everything's bullish as of right now. Just watch for the news flow if that does come out. That could be a little worrisome, but the technicals look decent. We just need that blow off top or either a denial too. Like that's also a possibility that this starts to pull back and comes within these 500 ranges. Qs comes test the 578, 580. This gap two different hypotheses that could play out. I'm not going to be biased in either way. I'm just going to continue to accumulate great companies at any point and then trade the short-term trends when it comes to technicals breaking out. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for checking out the channel. If you stayed this far, let me know what stocks you want to see. I'm always happy to help you guys in any way. Have a great week. Let's do it.